To be successful, having a high-level overview of your data isn't enough. You have to be willing to study the data at each point in the customer's journey. It's more than time on site and total monthly visits. It's a quest to understand why they're doing what they're doing. The data will paint a picture, and it might not be obvious at first, but when you become extremely familiar with your data, it'll be a lot clearer. In fact, we should really start by determining how familiar you are with your data. Off the top of your head, can you indicate the most popular section of your website? How about the #1 referral source for each of your user personas? What's the most common technology that your site is accessed with? Or on average, what's the most popular time for people to access your site? If you've got these nailed, that's great, but it doesn't mean you can stop digging. Always push for more, because an important habit to form as a growth hacker is pursuing data relentlessly. Start every morning by looking over your metrics, familiarizing yourself with the information, exploring areas that are new and foreign, and trying to correlate things that might be seemingly unrelated. Look at everything from your social media metrics to your customer service email volumes. It all counts for something. And once you think you've learned enough, dig deeper. It's an incredibly valuable skill to hone, and it separates good growth hackers from great growth hackers. Over time, you'll learn where to spend your time, but don't worry about being terribly efficient as you learn. It's going to take a lot of practice and persistence, and if you're not naturally drawn to long spreadsheets full of numbers, it'll feel a little mundane. And I'm assuming you're running a lean operation here, which means you won't have access to a data sciences team or enterprise-level data mining software. This means you're the front lines for this information, all the more reason to spend your time researching. I'll share an example from Etsy to help solidify this topic. I saw a presentation by Dan McKinley, a former engineer at Etsy.com. If you're unfamiliar with Etsy, they're a marketplace for handmade or vintage items. Members can build their own storefronts and sell products through their platform. Now they knew their users had a problem. The data said so. Users wanted more results per page and they wanted them faster. So Etsy jumped in and spent 5 months developing infinite scrolling. The idea was that as you scrolled down the page, you'd get new results and never reach the bottom. They rolled it out and kept a close eye on the data. They found that people were buying fewer things. The results were negative. They had to go back to how things were before, and that was an important learning experience. They heard the problem users were having, and they implemented a fix. If they didn't monitor their data diligently, they would have never realized the results were terrible. And they knew when they rolled back that they were still going to have the problem of not showing enough results, and it would be back to the drawing board as how to solve it again. Once you're really familiar with your data, start running tests. Try sending people through your funnel. Give people unfamiliar with your site a specific goal. That might be to buy a specific product or subscribe and cancel a free trial. Observe what happens. If you'd like to test this at scale, check out usertesting.com. Next, run the same test with your competitor or a product in a similar niche. You can even use usertesting.com for scale yet again. Finally, take the qualitative data and start mapping it to the quantitative. Do the issues outlined make sense based on what you're seeing? Do you have a problem that is larger than just 1 or 2 users complaining? If you notice that you have high abandonment after a user looks at a certain product, then you've got a starting point to analyze. There's an endless amount of data you can interact with. The moral is to not trust your gut. Avoid leaning on instinct and instead let the data do the talking.